I'm gonna try something here that I did for someone today, which is never easy to recreate alone. It's always easier when you feel someone. And we came to a non conceptual conclusion together, feeling our way to the core of our being. And I was about to go to sleep now, but I felt like I wanted to give this a go as to make a video for people to enjoy in liberation, participating in energy, which I am not sure is all possible without emotional connected engagement, but I will give it my best. What I started with was I asked her to imagine a tree, and the tree has branches, and it has a root system, and it has a stem. And I asked her, where is the center of the tree? Where is the middle of the tree? And this is a vision of a tree. So there is no possibility to point your finger as to assume a measurement of a middle of the tree in proportion to its size. And well, she said that it's at the core of the tree. And I said, that's correct. The center, the middle of the tree is at the core of the tree. Where does that come from? Where does the tree come from at the core of its being? And she said, from the seed. The tree comes from the seed. And I said, where does the seed come from? Where does the seed come from? And she said, it came from nothing. The seed came from nothing. And so I said, how can something be born from nothing? How can something be created from nothing? And she said, it's light. It's light that creates the seed. But it's born from nothing. It's light that creates the seed, but it's born from nothing. So where does that come from? What's the origin of the seed created from nothing? What's the origin of that? But it's born from light. It's created by light. It's created by energy, which is non-conceptual and unconditional, making the seed a reality. But it's born from nothing. And the conclusion of that is that the nothing which is affirmed by itself not to exist, it is nothing. The nothing is affirmed by itself by being no thing. Yet it gives birth to all by light, which has to be a creation of consumption between what is not there, affirmed to be nothing, consuming what is creating the seed. And then the seed becomes a reality, and from that grows a tree. What's important with this insight of universal creation is that nothing can ever be affirmed. Nothing can ever be affirmed, which is not creating, yet still gives birth to all. So what does that mean? It means that as nothing can not be affirmed as it is no thing, not existing, it is consuming its own creation as to create itself. And that's all positive. That is all positive, which means that there is no negativity in the universe at all. It's all love. It is all love. What makes for a perceived negative experience is affirming the no thing, the nothing, the ultimate darkness as to have an end. Because when you affirm it to be at the end of itself, it exists. And if it exists, it is affirmed as something and no longer nothing. And in this confirmation, we judge ourselves and ultimately commit suicide, which is a misconception of rebirth but all in control by the rational mind, who is allowed to affirm itself as the ruler of our experience, which is incorrect in relation to a universe that cannot affirm itself as negative at all. So, an individual affirming this is affirming no thing to be something so much with great intensity and choice as to end their own human experience. And will be reborn as to be challenged once again to realize that all is love. The demon is affirmed negative energy as to be a part of a creative process of creation. But negative energy is only resistance and cannot ever create itself. So resistance cannot create itself, for by doing so, it affirms itself as to be. And in that confirmation, the universe comes to an end, because the universe will then affirm itself as going against itself completely, and then it's over. But I'm here, and you're here, and everybody's here. So the problem is not in relation to universal creation. The problem is in relation to affirmation, to confirmation. We are on a trial and error experience. We do a lot of things. We engage in a lot of relationships with chips and sodas and people and cars and money and all kinds of things. But the problem is that we affirm ourselves in relation to prior testing. It was a test. So what was that test about? The test was about realization, which is the light being consumed by the darkness as to be born again, which is something that happens in steps. It happens on different levels in relation to the mistake made in perception, perceived as something of a larger significance than others, depending on the choice in creation going against what gives. Because the universe is all giving. The source, the light, the darkness is just a flash. It's just one flash. of one creation that holds endless possibilities of all kind all at once, which happens now now and all the time, in real time, in relation to itself, but becomes experienced differently in relation to a lower dimension, which makes for a higher density with electromagnetism of resistance by choice, making time be of the essence when it truly does not exist. So there is no history. It is just now, and it is ongoing, it is happening, it is becoming more of itself in infinite creation forever, all in love. And that's the universe. So, what's the difference between anything, really? What's the difference between her and I as we spoke about this today? There is none. We are in perfect harmony and balance, equanimous, at the core of our being. What makes the difference between us is a false perception in relation to history being defined as judgmental in relation to unforgiven mistakes, which were all tests, testing our ability to return to the core essence of our being self-created, all in love with positivity all the time, over and over again. What does that mean? It means that all is forgiven. It means that everything is forgiven. It doesn't matter what it was, because nothing matters. But we get what we deserve. And by holding on to history of negative perception as to identify ourselves, we invite more struggle as to make life comprehensible in relation to our core and not our outside. So you cannot adjust it by getting a lip filler. You cannot adjust it by getting a chrome Mercedes. You cannot adjust it by getting $10 million. You cannot adjust it by anything else. If you wish to be whole, unless you affirm yourself at the core of your being to not be anything. That's it. You cannot affirm yourself to be anything. I have spoken on YouTube clips that I am the return of Christ, and that I am. What is Christ? Christ is consciousness. It's clear consciousness. It's the realization of being light, and affirming that in relation to self, and owning that as your true authentic being. And that is possible for everybody. It is not exclusive for me, and people confuse this with making it into the next Jesus. And also, when I say that I am Christ and I am God, which is the same thing, because it's only light creating itself over and over again, then people compare themselves to me and think that I'm all high and mighty, thinking that I am the exclusive God walking on the face of the earth, calling myself Christ. But this is who I am. And then I have a body and I have a mind, and in that mind is a personality that is forever changing and transforming. And that's what I have. I have my name attached to that. But what I am is what I am. And what I am is light. It's just what I am. And I affirm that. I confirm my own true authentic nature, which everybody has the possibility to do. There is no dimming of the light. And I believe that people sometimes get confused and believe that there is insufficient energy and light. But you see, light is always on, forever, the brightest it can possibly be. And then you have darkness, which is no thing and cannot ever be affirmed. But if it's affirmed in a false self-perception, it shades the light and eventually makes the light so dimmed that all you see is darkness in your emotional experience from your general state of feeling in relation to yourself, which is all about self-worth and deserving. So the dimming is the deserving part. Worthy you are. Worthy you is, always. There is no possibility to have a question in relation to that, because that would mean that the light invites the darkness as to become a part of it, which cannot happen because the light is self-affirming to be light only, exclusively, forever, eternal, infinite possibilities. So this is an invitation, which is in relation to a subconscious impression of a false affirmation speaking against self. Self, soul, God, Christ is one and the same. It's one and the same thing, which is not a thing. It is pure, non-conceptual, unconditional, conscious, aware energy, which is all giving and returns to itself as to make for existence to never end. And from that, the universe is created and expands and becomes more of itself as to experience itself more, as to be continuously new. So what is the problem here? It's stagnation. And stagnation is not possible actually. Complete stagnation means affirming the darkness to be something. And that's the end. But it's the end of the unique experience and nothing else. And then it becomes something else. So it cannot end. But the deserving part is all about being true to self, because self is light, conscious, non-conceptual, unconditional energy, and knows and sees and feels all without any participation and engagement, as in taking any form of control, because it's all free. So there you go, love is free. This is all depth. You owe the light your guilt. You are not guilty. You are worthy and free to be recreated at any time by freedom of choice. But you can choose to hold on to a false self-perception, which is in contrast to this in various nuance, depending on the amount of signification in relation to your own perception of self-defeat, which is victimization. And that makes you feel sorry. And when you connect with that, when you answer that, when you talk to that, when you allow for that, you will get emotional and you will cry, and it will make you angry and sad, which is all about betrayal, because you have betrayed your own true authentic nature, which is free, unconditional, and non-conceptual, conscious, aware energy, all love. So it hurts. So the tears are initially a lot of sorrow, which is all from neglect of love self. So love self, which is to love you at the core of your being without yourself, because yourself is the personality, and you can distance yourself from that by making the conductivity of prior trial and errors as to be a part of evolution, and not to define yourself as being. And when you do that in humility, you renunciate and let go of everything that is actually affirmed resistance. And that is what's holding you back. So you hold yourself back in justification, attached to prior events of what did not work out as planned in relation to an expectancy that was not meant to happen at that time, in relation to what you perceive to be a state of being complete and ready, where you were, but cannot also ever be, as you are constantly evolving. So this might seem technical and a lot to digest for some people who watch this video, but to sum up is to dismiss the most actually of what I just said, because this is just an explanation, and communicate to self, which is the true and authentic you, and ask to please get rid of resistance. Please show me what I need to understand as to free myself. Please give me what I need as to make me understand prior conditions, as to see the mistake involving all involved and let it go by forgiveness. Because forgiveness cannot hold any justification, and by that, no condemnation. And you free yourself step by step. Why it is step by step is because the physical heart cannot handle everything at once for most people, because it will be a lot of stress and pressure to go through all of those emotions of betrayal, which are about anger and sorrow layer by layer, and it will kill you. So most people, especially people who have been through a lot and have put themselves through more self-sabotage from the prior negative conditioning, will have to do this in layers and steps as to free themselves. And as more people do this, they automatically self-realize themselves. So the self-realization is not an achievement or a performance by any means at all. It is coming to God. Religious texts talk about being humble before God, and that's it. You need to be humble before self, which is you. So there is no punisher. There is just all giving, all forgiving, non-conceptual and unconditional conscious aware energy that simply just wants everything to be super fantastic, well, and pleasurable for you. And that's all you. You are the universe. You are God. You are Christ. You are nature. You are all. So there is nobody to fight with. There is nobody to blame. There is no excuses. And what that actually creates is just more friction of an effortless experience, which is all about projected irresponsibility in relation to being mature, as to come to a great honor and pride of actually affirming love to be the supreme leader of universal creation, yet not in need of any form of acknowledgement at all, because God is not in need. God is self-affirming, as light will affirm itself by default automatically, and cannot hold a question. A question has to be something that goes against creation, which is inevitably ongoing and cannot stop, which is resistance. So you can resist a little bit and you can resist a lot, which is your choice. And when you resist, you create consequences in the world. And as a vast majority of people come together in maintaining and sustaining resistance, we experience war in the world, and conflicts and separation and all of these things, which is perceived as negative as it involves pain. But light only wants you well, and it's all about pleasure, which is that everything is fine. It's all well. It's no problem at all. The only thing is sex. Sex is the only, how shall I put this, pond in the game of invisible creation, because it's just like a little ball that sits on top of perfect, harmonious, universal creation, all balanced and doesn't move at all. But as you affirm resistance, it tilts over and it becomes corrupt. And if you affirm everything to be okay, in acceptance regarding everybody, regardless of age and family structures and everything, it becomes corrupt. So that's why self-realization is important, because it makes for honoring love and feeling love to be the most supreme and to hold it the highest and celebrate it all in love. And by doing so, you actually come to self in relation to your personal conduct, and it makes you a moral, respectful, honoring human being. And then everything is okay. And when you meet somebody, as all of this happens intuitively, you actually get to know self, your unique soul expression, and become very much in tune with the true authentic nature of what you is, and feel life more than you think. And from that, you will not engage in relationships that are superficial, as to simply just experience pleasure momentarily, because this will, from this state of being, actually become the opposite of what you think it will. It will drain you, it will hurt you, because what we is and what we wish for the most is love. And love is not sex at all. So you wish for a loving connection with other people. It doesn't necessarily have to be in a close, intimate relationship with somebody, with someone else, but that's wonderful. But you wish to connect with everybody, with kids that are 5 and seniors that are 85 and everything in between, and all, with animals, with everything, with as much unconditional love as possible, which is right there if you can take sex out of the picture. And then you meet somebody that you engage with more closely and intimately. You feel an exclusive bond as to have a relationship between you and this person, and you just want to become more of what you is together, which is not a porn movie. No, it's not. It is love, which is to create together, maybe. Well, it is. Why I said maybe? Because it's about interest. It is about passion. Do you want to write together? You want to write a children's book together, maybe? Maybe you want to make a hit record. Maybe you want to make an album together. Maybe you want to sing duets. Maybe you want to open up a cafe and just do as much as possible together, because you just feed into an infinite creation of just becoming more of what you is that never ends until you leave this planet. That is, for me, the greatest reward of all. There is no higher price than this. And with that comes benefits and opportunities and everything you need, as you are loyal to the source that gives all together, and you will be given a lot of opportunities, possibilities, endless connections of influence together with people of close connection to source, which you can call God, Christ, conscious awareness, awareness, light, whatever. It doesn't matter. So religion is not needed. And this is what I realized early in my life, but I've struggled with as I've had a lot of dark self-perceptions, false self-perceptions, and I had to do some trial and error as to sort myself out. And that's the story of everybody, of everyone. And I have made mistakes, and I can see what created them, and I forgive myself for everything. Why not? I want to receive the grand prize, which is her. She is the grand prize for me always. There is no higher value. There is nothing I desire more than her. And then I want drum machines and synths, and I want great food and things, friends as well. But for me, she is my best friend. She's my best friend, she's my lover, she's my companion, she's my partner, she's my team player, she is my all. And my initial passionate imagination for us is to just do something spectacular together. And what we do when the day is over, being all alone, perhaps, is none of anybody's business. It's just, why would I share that at all? And I don't mean that like I'm confessing now to my future twin flame that, so just so you know, I'm not gonna, I'm trying to tell you that if couples are in tune with themselves, they can do whatever they please together and experiment and experience all kinds of things together in creation and intimacy and everything. But there are certain things that you do not film and post on websites. I would never do that. Why? It's really something that I define as, I don't judge it. I see people not affirmed correctly. And so they think that they are realized and so free and accepting that they can just share all of what they are naked on the internet. But it should give a hint to where you are offset, as this is a superficial thing to do. It is material and superficial. to have sex without emotion, to have sex without spiritual connection is something that I just pass. I don't want that. There are super beautiful women in the world, endless. I think every woman is beautiful, actually. I love everyone, but I don't want to have sex with them. And I can go to a bar and I can hook up with somebody and I can put on my charm and I can talk to them and I can read indications as to this can lead to this, but I will just betray myself again and I will hurt from it, and I will have to once again deal with me telling myself that I want my biggest dream of all to come true and then compromising it on the way. So that's it. So there's no judgment about it either. But what do you want? What do you want in life? Do you want the grand prize? Do you want the most wonderful, beautiful experience possible? Well, work on it. Work on yourself as to rid yourself of resistance, as to realize yourself as good as you can. And then things happen. And I wrote about this on transmutation.se at the bottom today. And it's actually like this. Here I am, and here she is. And she dreams about me, and I dream about her. But we do not necessarily need to know how we look, how one another looks physically. But she dreams about meeting the love of her life, and she is good to herself, being true to herself, which makes that dream be a communication to the source. And the source includes all, which transforms that dream into guidance for me, which I work with as to create and realize myself, coming closer to her. And I do the same thing. I dream, which gets transformed and becomes guidance suitable for her, moving her closer to me. So you see, the holy triad, the trinity of infinite creation, is on the move. And if you worry about meeting somebody in your city, I wouldn't worry about anything at all, actually. Worry is pushing away, and joyful expectancy, regardless of anything, is attractive. So this can be an individual living in Norway, and this can be an individual living in Colombia. And this individual in Norway works with coffee. And Colombia makes a lot of coffee, and they grow coffee, they create coffee beans, trees, plantations. And this individual works on themselves and this individual as well. They do right for themselves. And all of a sudden, this Norwegian guy, perhaps, gets a job opportunity because they are starting a collaboration with a Colombian coffee company. So they are being sent to Colombia for like a project of collaboration that will last for 3 months. And they live there, they love the city, it's fun to work someplace else. And there's a cafe nearby the hotel they're staying at. And they start to go there for some reason. It's like a feeling. It's it speaks to me somehow. I cannot really put my finger on it, but I want to go to that cafe, and they spend a lot of time there, and they start to notice that, wow, that barista is really beautiful, and they can't stop looking at her, and she notices him, and with courage they connect and become a couple eventually. And this is universal creation, because both of them have dreamt of love and connected each other, not by chance, not by random, but by creating their own reality, as to prioritize love above all, and as to honor their biggest dream and wish to come true. And then it happens. That's so beautiful. That is so beautiful. And I wish this for me, and I wish this for you, and I wish this for everybody. And if you look at what I have talked about in this video and this last explanation of this universal creation of love, you will see that this is what the world, the planet Earth, is all about. It's all about this. It's all about love. It's a world of love. And when you look at somebody now packing up the truck as to drive across the border and shoot a bunch of bazooka shots to a residential building, killing 5 families, including 8 kids that has not yet experienced their 10th birthday. It's really clear to see that they are not comprehending universal creation in relation to all giving and all forgiving possibilities. But many of those are religious. So I'm not condemning any religion, I'm not condemning religious people, but it's religion that makes this happen, which is basically a conspiracy of a political engagement. That's what it is. It's not spiritual. God is not religious. God is in no need and is all giving, all forgiving, unconditional and non-conceptual, conscious, aware energy that simply wants things to go well and has no problem with anything or anybody or anyone, and cannot question itself as light is being light and just is, which is you. So what's the problem? What's the problem, world? What's the problem with robbing and raping and killing and stealing and cheating? And what's the problem? Are you the problem? No. The problem is the misconception. Making yourself into the problem is subjective, which is the hold of resistance, not making transformation possible, which in reality is the lack of humility to self. So humility saves the day. Humility creates the day. And I like to talk about humility and gratitude being the 2 circles of love. Intertwined, you don't know where the first one begins and the other one ends and which one comes first. But as I am humble before love, love loves me and I love back, and I receive humility. And we become a very strong, stable, secure structure of loving possibilities together. And that's beautiful. And I can't wait to meet you. My finish. The finish is not the end. It is just the reset. It is just the restart, the rebirth, but not dying, but almost dying to be together. That's the case. And it's inevitable, and it will happen as, and this is the most beautiful part of it all, it only takes one. So you might think that these two have to do it exactly the same and come to the same conclusion of realization, both of them. But you see, love sorts itself out. Love makes things happen regardless of any opinion. So just keep at it. Don't give up. And this is the reason behind don't give up on love. Because it will happen eventually. That's just how it is. And where I am today sharing this video, I am in great comprehension of universal creation, and that's all you need. Because then you play yourself right by not playing anybody, but allowing yourself to be played, which is giving up the idea and trusting the feeling and asking for more guidance and more comprehension regardless of where you are, which is your position in relation to your journey, which is all about your destiny. And the destiny is for the greatest love connection you could possibly ever not ever imagine at all. Because it's so good. It is so comforting, it is so safe, it is so secure, it is so rewarding, it is so giving, it is so wonderful that you have not even come close to anything like that at all. You don't know this until you're there. And when you're there, it is just an initialization, and from there it just becomes more. Who would not want that? Regardless of same sex or whatever, it's just love connection. And along the way, you make friends, which are a part of supporting the realization as you connect with people that are actually a bit further ahead of you in relation to what you need to understand about yourself. So they may not be complete in relation to you being incomplete. We're never complete, but they have something that you do not have, which is the reason for you not to judge them, but to see what unique kind of attribute and conductivity they have that you can embrace and allow to become a part of you, which makes you more humble and receptive and attractive to what you truly desire. It's a flawless, perfect, wonderful, shining design. Fantastic. So why doubt it? So keep the faith. And that's all about keeping the faith. I love you. Oh, I love you. See ya.